teenager, I lived in Brazil. And that really opened my eyes up to, well, on one level, musically, in terms of what I began listening to and became exposed to. It also opened my mind towards understanding the influence of American culture internationally, and also like seeing the differences, not just American culture, but the particular aspects of that. For example, as an African American in Brazil, they thought all Americans were rich, but in Brazil they thought all black people were poor. So with me, they were like,
what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. You're American, but you know, so it was that, and yeah, it's a big car. But so it opened my eyes to like looking at America in a interesting way, and looking at the world, you know, like just being more mindful of the influence of the outside, of the inside on the outside, and of the outside on the inside. I also learned a lot about American corporate power when I was living there, visiting farms and stuff like that, and seeing what American corporations owned in foreign lands, stuff like that, you know. And then of course the music and the culture. So that was big. Moving from, let's say, New York to LA was huge. Because New York is concentrated, and so I found that I wrote very concentrated stanzas, like very precise. Like when I moved to LA, which was more expansive, I wrote longer, more flowing pieces, but I had to edit more. Moving from LA to Paris gave me a different perspective on the world at large, feeling close to so many different realities, and feeling, you know, the infiltration of all those realities in Paris, you know, being there during the Arab Spring, you know, and also learning new references in terms of creativity, different directors or musicians or painters that I hadn't heard of because of, you know, American references versus European or what have you. So yeah, every place I live has an effect on what I learn about us. I think because one of the main things I've learned as I've traveled is about or what I've paid attention to is a lot of similarities in people, regardless of how different they may seem. The similarities in people are really interesting, and as a result of that, I feel grounded in myself and grounded in my connection with any audience. It's not, I don't feel like bands or musicians should be more politically involved. My thing is that I'm not politically involved because I'm an artist. I speak about what I think just because of the fact that I have a voice, you know, as a human being, and I have a perspective. And I don't always agree with all the bullshit that I see being propagated by the media. But I don't necessarily think that every artist has to approach that reality in the same way, you know?
The name of this song is Burundi. The name of this song is the Czech Republic. The name of the song is England. The name of this song is America. The name of this song is Syria. The name of this song is Eritrea, Ethiopia. The name of this song is North Korea, China, Russia. The name of this song is Burundi. But boundaries are man-made.
Big differences between them. Rick is in many ways not involved. He's there, and the only thing he wants is for the stuff that you're doing to not get in the way of him nodding his head to the music. He just wants to. And then if he stops, he's like, the guitar's too loud, or whatever, you know, like, otherwise he's just like this. Trent is playing the guitar. Trent is, you know, like, you have an idea, it's like, yeah, let's try. You know, Trent is way more active, so that with Trent I felt almost more like I met my older brother, and he was super generous with his time and with his talent, and really put his all into our collaboration. It's not to say that Rick didn't do the same thing. Rick was also very generous and what have you, but you also have the sense that you're kind of around a guru who's just there. All is well. All is well. I was there actually when they recorded Californication, hanging out with Rick. And what happened is they had been together. They got together at one of their houses for 5 days, and had 22. No, that's not the story. They had been getting together like once a week for a minute and written 22 songs, and then they went into the studio for 5 days and recorded 22 songs, right? And that was it. And I went on the 5th day, and Anthony was adding vocals, and we're like, yeah, okay. Took us 5 days, and and we're ready. And it's not that he's weird. It's like I said, he doesn't want anything to get in the way of you nodding his head. So if you're turning to, it's kind of music-y, but if you're turning to the engineer and saying, can you add some reverb and delay? He hates all that. It's okay if the effects are coming from your instrument, but he likes a really clean sound. He just wants, if you listen to that stuff, listen to Anthony Kiedis' voice, he's like right there talking to you. You know, there's no real effects on his vocals. That's Rick Rubin style. It's just right there in your face. But doing weird, yeah, he's full of weird shit. The first time I met him, you know, he sat down and meditated for 30 minutes. Well, he was like, have you ever listened to Kabir? And I was like, oh yeah, the Indian poet. I've read him, but he's like, oh, you should listen to this. And so I joined him. I was meditating at that time too, so it wasn't that weird to me. I think all of these changes are inevitable. You know, on one hand, it's really hard to call. I mean, musicians were one of the first groups to suffer at the hands of the internet, which is weird, you know, because you would think hackers would be on our side, you know. But you can't deny the fact that everybody should have access to music. And if you're making music, for me, more important than people paying for it is the idea of people hearing it, you know? So, and as a teenager and what have you, sure enough, I was definitely like, yo, can I have a copy of that album? You know, I can't afford to buy it. You have it. Can I have a copy? You know, so it makes perfect sense.
Oh, Jesus, for the Lord, seatbelt, what you standing for?